next time you meet me in Gate City.
Oh, Cody Pope. I know Cody Pope.
Our friend is Cody and we not having a good day.
Smack dab in the middle of all that.
That was beautifully said. And I love that you said when you have a microphone in your hand.
And we were able to do it.
It's about just showing up.
What up, world? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Cody Central. Welcome back if you've been rocking with us. Welcome for the first time if it's your first time tuning in tonight. As always, every week is a little bit unique. Every conversation is going to be a little different. So we're always in for a little bit of a surprise while we're here. One thing I always like to do is when you jump in, drop a comment. Let us know what city and state you're watching from. Let us know what platform you're coming in from. And we're going to have a really killer time tonight. I wanted to start the show off tonight by bringing up that we got our first sponsor last week. I want to send a huge thank you to my friend Danny Henn. He runs a YouTube channel called Schoolyard Pro. He does the Schoolyard Pro show as well as the Hen Dog Half. They were one of the first sponsors on the pod. Shout out to Jen in the comments. Jen's always rocking with us. Appreciate you. And I want to show you guys a little bit about Danny's podcast.
This episode is sponsored by Danny at Schoolyard Pro.
And what an awesome barbecue. You are talking the works, my friend. All about the presentation. This pizza looks phenomenal when it...
Yeah, that really helps out. So if you guys are interested in supporting the show, I will give you guys more info on how to do that. Right now, the best thing you can do is make sure that you're subscribing to Hellhound Publishing on YouTube. If you're here, drop a comment. I appreciate everybody that's in here so far. Shout out to our YouTube audience. Shout out to Facebook. Let me run through some stuff here real quick. Let me turn up the music. Throw on some background music. Shout out to my brother, even though gave us some. There we go. Let me know if that sounds good to you guys while we're out there. So shout out to Ryan in the chat. Shout out to Megan in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate our weekly crew. Shout out to everybody. So this week for music of the week, roll with me, all right? So it's hard to not do a biased review of somebody who's a comrade of yours artistically and whom is scheduled to be on the show momentarily. But I was able to cop an early copy of the album. It's called Stereo from tonight's guest, Graphic Melee. And so I caught him performing in Manchester a couple weeks back, and even though the album is not like out yet, he has the physicals available. So if you want to support the artist directly, you can buy it at the show and you get the privilege of listening to it early. So I got it right away, and I knew that this interview was coming up this week. So it's a 2-disc album, and I've been listening to the first disc on repeat this week, just getting hyped up for tonight's conversation. Stereo from Portland, Maine's Graphic Melee is him at his most versatile, doing vocals, bass, turntables, drums, MPC, guitar, percussion, and sample manipulation across a 2-disc album, which features a language disc, which has his vocals and raps on it, and an instrumental rhythms disc, which encompasses even more of his style in his artistic language. The project has a great vibe from top to bottom an incredible blend of musical influences and compositions and really earnest lyrical songwriting. Everything down to the package is carefully pieced together and curated. Like I said, it's a double disc album. It's got like a really cool setup. You can see like the stereo knob in the back, the left and the right. It came with all the lyrics inside. You got the digital download if you're a loser without a CD player. It's just so well put together. It just made me we had already had the interview scheduled before I picked up the album. I've been rocking with him for a long time, and I always love what he's done. So I just had faith that this was going to be like a great project, and I'm glad to report that it really is awesome. Stereo is absolutely worth getting directly from the artist as soon as possible. Put it in your CD player, grab a cassette version, listen to it digitally, whatever you have to do, just grab this album. We're going to talk more about it, but definitely check this out. I see the comments are popping, so let's pop in over here and see what's good. Shout out to Jill. Shout out to Fee. Melee is the truth. No joke there, Fee. He's even more than a quadruple threat. Shout out to my brother Ben. He said, let's fucking go. That time of the week. That's right. Mondays at 8 p.m. You guys know where to be. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys so much. I love that chat is popping off right now. This is exactly what I'm looking for, man. You guys are the best. So I really want you guys, we're going to really go in and talk about the Stereo album tonight and a lot of other stuff. As always, when we talk about music as well, if you guys can pity me and give our album Giant Steps in Gate City a listen, I would just love to talk to you guys about that. One sec. Appreciate you guys.
My lace is tight enough.
And I'm going to jump into our show run here because we've got a lot of shows on the docket. As always, if you have a show coming up that you want mentioned in the show run, shoot me an email at codycentralshow@gmail.com, and we will make sure that we get it in the plug if it sounds like something that we would be a part of. So with that said, let me run through these. Oh, hold on. Comments are going off. What's good in the comments? Oh, shout out to Fee. I like the dog feed emoji. That's a new one. Shout out to all my dogs. All right, let's run through these real quick. So Tuesday, April 1st is the Nashua Celebration of the Arts at the Nashua Center for the Arts at 7 p.m., featuring the Queen of Gate City R&B, Ruby Shabazz, and many more. Wednesday, April 2nd, Byron G. from Hellhound Publishing will be at Stereo Dreams, which is at the Ephodian Theater in Portland, Maine. We'll be there at 7:30 alongside Think Fish Tank and Solstice, hosted by tonight's guest Graphic Melee. Friday, April 4th, vocalist for prominent alternative trip-hop group Portishead, Beth Gibbons, is going to be playing songs from her solo album at the Orpheum Theater in Boston. Sunday, April 6th, is the Milford & Co. annual motorcycle flea market at the Everett Arena in Concord, New Hampshire. This is the 43rd year that they're going to be setting this thing up. Tuesday, April 8th, Chicago Hardcore's conservative military image and East Coast Hardcore street power are going to be tearing it up at Geno's in Portland, Maine. They're going to be playing alongside Hard Cash and Peacebreaker. Also on Tuesday, April 8th, 90s heavy music sensations Deftones are going to be playing at the TD Garden alongside Fleshwater and the Mars Volta. Friday, April 11th, Sabretooth Zombie is going to be live at Ralph's in Worcester, Mass. Also on Friday, April 11th, Murs, legendary hip-hop artist, is going to be doing his final tour, and he's going to be in Vermont alongside the one and only Mr. Burns. Also on Friday, April 11th, shameless plug, Cody Pope and Byron G will be live at Kodo in Lowell, Massachusetts, alongside Mr. Goodbars, Six Minds Combined, and much more, presented by recent episode guest Eleanor from New Hampshire Underground. Speaking of New Hampshire Underground, Saturday, April 12th is the Punk Rock Masquerade at Terminus Underground, which is New Hampshire Underground's interior venue. There's going to be music, dancing, arts, costumes, and all sorts of cool stuff happening there. Sunday, April 13th, Cold Cave is going to be at the Brighton Music Hall in Alston. Thursday, April 17th, Florida Hip Hop's Denzel Curry is going to be at Roadrunner in Boston, Massachusetts. Saturday, April 19th, stand-up comedian Joe List is going to be at the Wilbur in Boston. Friday, April 25th, Cody Pope and Byron G will be live at the Ephodian Theater in Portland, Maine, alongside tonight's guest Graphic Melee for the official stereo album release party. Thursday, May 8th, Currency is going to be bringing the 420 tour to the Middle East in Cambridge. Thursday, May 8th, Stavros Halkias, stand-up comedian, is going to be at the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom. Sunday, May 11th, soulful and technical American heavy music act Baroness is going to be bringing their beautiful live show to the Sinclair in Boston. Monday, May 12th, Kendrick Lamar is going to be at the Gillette Stadium. Sunday, May 18th, Boston hardcore legends Death Before Dishonor are going to be doing their record release at Sonia in Cambridge, Mass. Saturday, May 24th, iconic 80s death metal band Obituary is going to be at the Worcester Palladium. May 31st and June 1st is Tied Down Fest in Detroit, Michigan, featuring American Nightmare, Speed, Judge, The Wrong Side, Hope Conspiracy, Fiddlehead, Trial, tons more. It's going to be a crazy hardcore fest. Thursday, June 19th, Rakim, the legendary hip-hop stalwart, is going to be at Oxbow Brewing in Portland, Maine. Saturday, June 28th, iconic Canadian post-rock group Godspeed You Black Emperor is going to be at Roadrunner. Also just announced today on Saturday, June 28th, one of the most influential rock bands of the early 2000s, Brand New, is making their long-awaited return to the stage at the DCU Center in Worcester. As you can tell, this brings a huge smile to my face. Brand New is probably the best concert I ever saw live. They're one of the most incredible groups of musicians, and so I'm so thrilled that they're finally returning to the stage. Friday, July 11th, 90s emo legends Cap'n Jazz return for a rare performance in Boston at Royale. Also on Friday, July 11th, Wu-Tang Clan's final tour is going to be at the TD Garden. And lastly, Friday, August 29th, American industrial legends 9 Inch Nails are going to be at the TD Garden as well. If you want to have your show plugged in the show run, like I said at the top, just shoot me an email at codycentralshow.com. Any information, just hit me up there. Yeah, I'm really excited to get into this tonight. Chat is popping. Everything is good. He said giant steps. You already know the vibe. It's always giant steps around these parts. Let's get into it. So tonight's guest is a multifaceted musician. He's done production, engineering, DJing, rapping, plays a number of instruments, and he also curates and hosts a monthly producer showcase in Portland, Maine called Stereo Dreams. He's also responsible for incorporating hip-hop history into all of his public works, including his website Today in Hip Hop History. I'm proud to welcome Portland, Maine's own. Everybody drop some applause in the comments for the one and only Graphic Melee.
Yo. Peace.
Hey, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Doing all right. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, man. Thank you so much for making time to rock with me tonight, man. Hopefully this will be a fun one.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So first things first, the chat is open for Q&A. So from now forward until the end of the night, if you guys have any questions for our guests tonight, drop them in the comments. We'll throw them on screen and get the ones answered that we love. Shout out to Byron, who just hit up the chat. He said, yo. Shout out to Fee in the chat. He's going to be a fun one, guys. So if you guys got any questions or anything like that, let us know. With that said, I always like to get a quick glimpse of people's introduction to music and what really made them kind of take that first risk in trying it creatively.
Oh, yeah.
Can you kind of remember back to what that moment was for you?
It's definitely been a while because I got a lot of musicians in my family. Like my mom plays keyboard and organ, piano. My dad is a drummer. My mom's dad was a singer. So there were just always instruments around. I can remember being like 2 years old, like playing on the piano, but I was like singing in a choir by the time I was 4. So yeah.
That's remarkable. So you really were like born into this.
Oh yeah. And then like always like got to give like the credit to my older cousin. He had me like rapping and memorizing lyrics from when I was like 3 or 4 years old. So
yeah, that's dope. So my first question is, if I just said my first question like I didn't just ask you a question. My next question is, if I understand correctly, you haven't always been based in Portland, Maine. You actually mentioned Portsmouth, Virginia on track 3, Trouble, on the album. So what age were you, and what kind of led you to ending up in the forest city of Maine all the way from Virginia?
So let's see. I think it was 28 or 29 when I moved to Maine. But I was born in Portsmouth, Virginia. That's the reference in that song. Grew up in that area in Richmond, Virginia. Moved to Boston. Moved back to Virginia. Moved to Boston again. And then while I was living in Boston the second time, I kept coming up to Maine and just really liked it. So I just moved up here. So, and that was 9 years ago. So
that's like a wild trip.
Yeah. Big shift going from like Virginia to Boston, like when I was 17.
Were you going back and forth to Boston in pursuit of like music and stuff, or was there like something different that brought you back there?
So when I moved back there, it was actually my wife got into grad school there, and we were looking to get out of Virginia. So that was kind of moving to Boston was kind of like just starting over with everything. But the first time I went there was to go to music school. So
that's wild, man. What a trip.
Yeah.
Man, I don't want to jump around too much, but I had another question, just kind of like going into your creative realm. So I asked this early on because I feel like it kind of sets a precedent for your approach to things as you go forward. But for anybody that doesn't know, Graphic runs a website called todayinhiphophistory.com. And I just think that that's so rad. I think it's an incredibly important contribution to like archiving the history and just creating awareness of things that were happening. And I love that when I've seen you perform, you incorporate that into your live show as well. When did you start setting that into motion, and what was the first moment that inspired you to kind of make this a thing of permanence with you?
So I started that website like back in like the 2014, 15 kind of like Tumblr blog era, and it was just a way kind of keeping track of that, because there were a few places I saw that would have important things, but there wasn't anything where it's like, this is like the set spot where we're going to have all this and we're going to keep track of everything at that point. So I just wanted to have something like that just as a resource for other hip hop heads, and then just kept growing it and kind of took that whole idea to my live show as well. It's like, if I'm doing it on the internet, I can do it at a live show. So always give people a little bit of hip hop history anytime I'm rapping. So that way they know like albums they might not have heard of, artists they might not have heard of, or albums they want to reminisce about, kind of just keep it in their memory.
Right, man. So is that something that you have to kind of like program like months and months in advance, or do you just kind of go back to it every so often, or how much work does that take on your?
Not too much, because other than just adding up new stuff that comes up, because I do album releases, I'll wait 10 years before I add it to the website. But other than just updating new things, for the most part, it's like 5-10 minutes every day, just kind of set up what's coming for like the next day or so, or if I'm going to be busy like the next week. But yeah, I've been doing it long enough at this point, I can kind of just like copy the old information, set it in place, and just have it ready to go.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you kept up with that, because I feel like that's why I was saying earlier, is like I feel like that kind of is like an inference in how you approach your music, because it's a reflection of the culture that got so many of us here, but is also like trying to take that flag and like go somewhere new with it as well. You know, it's not just like walking backwards all the time.
Oh yeah. It's like I always say, got here standing on the shoulders of giants.
Straight up. Absolutely. Dude, and I had mentioned too, Fee mentioned in the comments, he said, what a cool way to promote and push the culture, which I got to agree. You know, it's just like your like daily calendar thing that you can kind of set your desktop to. And it looks like he just went there. Rest in peace to an artist that was a huge influence in my life and so many others. Nipsey Hussle, one time for one of the greatest. It surprises me how many people still aren't wholly familiar with Nipsey's brief but impactful life and catalog. And you know, before he passed, I gained so much wisdom, and even now that he's gone, things still come up that just have like completely shifted how I approach things.
Oh yeah.
But I want to talk about you. You've got an incredible project, as I mentioned earlier. Stereo is a great body of work. It's so cool. I have seen you perform numerous times over the years, and obviously I've always loved what you did and what you were about. But for some reason, this was the first project that I managed to get like a hard copy on CD. And that's a big thing for me, because I still have a CD player in my car, my laptop at home. I got a backup CD player just in case I ever need one. And so it's been great that I can now kind of like dive into it sonically as I like travel through the day. I have like an hour each way commute for work. So it was really cool to just like let that thing spin while I'm driving. I know too, from just like doing our shows, that you were working on this for a long time.
Oh yeah.
You had announced this like I feel like almost a year ago or so.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, like, when did you start compiling songs for this, and like and did you always know that it was going to be a double disc when you put it together?
No, when I first started out, I didn't have an idea, but I started looking at how much music I had, and that was kind of one of the only reasonable ways to figure out how to do it. Because I think the winter of 2024, like a little over a year ago, I was doing just a lot of writing, recording. Took a break from doing live shows to do that, and pretty much everything from that time period went into stereo for the most part. So I just started pulling through all the stuff I'd been working on, seeing what I wanted to use and seeing how that would all fit together, and then just started piecing everything together. But that was one of the big things why it ended up being a double album. I just had so much material that I wanted to do something with, so I had to figure out a way to work that all in to move on to new stuff afterwards.
And I know you have some longer albums in your catalog. Were other albums of yours double disc like this as well, or was this a kind of a first of doing something?
This is the first one, because I wanted to do a beat tape and a rap album like just together. So this was the first double one.
I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
And at first I was like kind of expecting like the instrumentals from the songs you rapped on.
Oh yeah.
And then it was like, oh shit, this is a vastly different experience.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Byron, who pre-ordered his cassette. He can't wait to bump it this. And if you guys want to get your CD or cassette, just check out this banner right here and visit graphicmelee.com. You can order those on the web store. I was going to pull up today in hip hop history, but Fee beat me to the punch by fucking plugging it in the comments. So shout out to him. I do want to mention to everybody as well that after our interview tonight, we're going to be premiering a music video from Fee the Evolutionist. He just dropped a music video for his verse on a song called Props that also has Brady Watt, Terminology, and DJ Myth on it. So we got a really cool video put together of his verse, and it's going to be dope to air that. So make sure you guys stick around for this whole thing tonight. So I know that you did like all the instruments and all of the production and all of the vocals and stuff on the project. Did you mix and master this record as well, or was that something that you first?
Yeah, I did all the mixing and mastering, all the artwork too, everything.
Man, that's wild, dude.
Yeah,
that really is something special. What is that? So like, you obviously make beats and you perform beats in like an instrumental fashion, but you also do your music as an MC as well. When you're like mixing and mastering that stuff, is that like a different experience to like mix your vocals on a song versus mixing a beat that you're going to go do live on the SP or something like that?
Oh yeah, completely different. Because when I'm mixing stuff, I'll be rapping over. I have to think a whole lot more about how my voice fits into this, like just sonically and then like mix wise. So there's a lot of different things I have to think about, just the way I'm making the beats, the way I'm mixing it. But I feel like when I'm making stuff that's more just gonna be for like producer showcase style stuff, I tend to try and push the drums and bass pretty much as much as I can go, because I know I don't have to worry about having room for vocals. So I feel like some of my beat tape music tends to get a bit more heavy beats sometimes.
I like that. We got a question in the comments. Let me pull this up here real quick. Fee said, Melee, what do you like best? Do you have a favorite aspect in the process, rapping, producing, mixing, or performing the songs live?
I think there's things I like about each part of the process separately. So I don't know if there's one I particularly like the most, and I feel like the rapping and the performing it part are almost like two sides of the same coin for me, because I really enjoy the writing process, and then getting to bring that to a crowd live too it's like its own whole feeling. So I think there's just different parts that each of those things like I really like from them. Is like there's the feeling from the writing, producing is kind of my more instrumental side, so I get to work on that. And then with mixing, that's just like curating what the sound sounds like after I've created it. So I feel like there's a part of each one that I just really dig into.
I take that. It's cool that so you kind of learned playing instruments first, it seems like, and then rapping, and then you kind of took engineering like as you went on in life. Is that kind of right?
Yeah, because it kind of just happened out of necessity. Because when I was around like 13, 14, I started playing in bands. And then by the time I was like 15 or 16, me and my friend I was in a band was like, well, how can we record ourselves? So we just started like working from there, like worst possible recordings you can be making, pretty much just like plugging an audio jack into a computer and then seeing where you can go from there, and just like how it worked our way up. Like we interned at a local recording studio, learned a lot more there. But
damn, that's cool.
Yeah.
What kind of bands were you in? That's rad.
Oh, let's see. So when I first started out, I played in a lot of like rock and metal bands when I was like a teenager, and then let's see, it was a late teenager, early 20s. I kind of just experimented with everything. I played in jazz bands, hip hop groups, R&B groups, rock groups, and then throughout my 20s, it was mostly funk, metal, or rock groups.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Dude, this is kind of interesting. I like this too. Fisa, would love to see you and Byron collab on a beat. That would be cool.
Yeah, I love Byron's beats. Like,
that would be such a cool thing. Just like you guys with drum machines on stage somewhere. So I wanted to ask you about a couple joints on the album as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, hold on. We gotta. Byron threw us a comment, and he said, "Did it take you a long time to learn to finally say, all right, this track is finished?"
I think, yeah, because how quickly I make stuff now compared to my first album. My first album would be like 1 month for a beat, but now it's like I'll give something like a day of work and be like, I'm fine with how this is. Like I can walk away from it. So I feel like my process is a whole lot more streamlined than it used to be. I definitely have like a good year for what I'm trying to make to be like, this is good as it is. Like it doesn't need anything else, and just walk away from it.
When you're like listening to mixes and stuff like that, do you have like sort of like a regiment of different like speakers you'll use to test your mixes on?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have like a specific setup. I've got like this tiny Bluetooth speaker that's got one speaker, got like one that's a little bit bigger that has bass to it. I have a surround sound system in my living room that I've had, I think it was actually my mom, so I've been listening to that since I was like 15. So I like know how everything sounds through that one. I'll check it through that, and then the studio monitor speakers. But yeah, I've got a whole series of different speakers I check.
Damn, that's cool. I love that. Dude, one of my favorite songs on here, of course, the joint you have a video for, Roy Ayers.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, it's crazy timing that
yeah,
unfortunately just passed away. But I know your song had obviously been done before that. Mm-hmm. What was kind of the inspiration behind that song and naming it that and everything that came with that?
So he's just a musician I listen to a lot, and just as far as artists and their approach to their personal life, I just really always vibe with the way he went about things. Like he always tried to stand up for like what was right, and making music from like a more spiritual mindset, almost like recognizing like what he's putting out there in the world has some importance to it, and standing behind that. And I always just loved his music. And one of the things that came up with the hook for this song and the name of it, the drum break in it is actually from a Roy Ayers song called "The Boogie Back."
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's why in the hook it's like I'm just trying to bring the boogie back like I'm Roy Ayers.
That's so good. That's one of Fee's favorite tracks too.
Oh, nice.
Fee's a jazz head, so that's good approval to have. And I want to make sure I picked the right song, because I was actually reading through the liner notes while I was listening to some of the joints, because it was interesting what you were saying. Face the Music, that's the one I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was kind of like your what kind of place were you in mentally when you were doing Face the Music? Because that seems to be a little bit of an emotional pivot in the terms of like the content of the songs.
Oh yeah. So Face the Music is one that I wrote in that winter. That was kind of reflecting kind of back on some of my times in Richmond, Virginia, and also kind of intertwining life events just with the way some people approach essentially being on a stage. So it's a bit of a look at just actual life events combined with just the feeling it can be getting up and performing. So kind of weaving a storyline between those two things almost.
Was there any particular songs on this record that were more of a challenge for you to put together than some of the other songs, whether that was like emotionally or technically or anything like that?
Say probably Changes emotionally is one of the more difficult ones, and then timelines technically was one of the more challenging ones. Is that timelines I'm doing kind of acting out a scene in the second half with different voices. So rapping in a voice that's not my normal voice and kind of keeping consistency through the takes was one of the more challenging ones for that. And then I feel like Changes was writing and recording that one was a bit more challenging emotionally, just working back through some ideas that are touched on in that song. So yeah,
with a song like, oh sorry,
oh no, yeah, I was just gonna say I feel like Changes is a bit of mix of grief for those you've lost and grieving for someone that's still alive. If that makes sense at all.
Absolutely. When you do a song like Changes, do you, especially this is kind of interesting because you produce your own stuff, do you make a beat that inspires you to write a song like that, or do you have a song like that written in the stash waiting for the right beat to lay it upon?
It can vary a lot. For Changes, actually, I wrote that to something completely different because the intro lines of that song, heard that song start to play, took me back into the days. I actually heard the song that reminded me of that person, like it's like this old 60s like funk song, and wrote both verses to that one. And I think maybe like, because that was one of the older ones that I'd written, and then eventually started putting some ideas with a beat to it. But yeah, I had that one written for a while, just right into a 60s funk song, and then put the beat to it.
That's wild how that kind of plays out. So obviously you took a couple years putting this together. So is there like a good chunk of these songs that are like more than a couple years old, or did most of this stuff kind of come in that period?
All of the lyrics are for the most part like late 2023 through the end of 2024, but the music on it, I think the oldest beat is from 2017. The newest beat on it, I think I recorded a week before I sent everything off. And then there's actually a sample of a string quartet piece I wrote in high school and recorded in 2004 at the end of credits roll.
Damn, that's so sick. I almost thought that was just like a sample or something.
Yeah,
that's like, it is, but that's crazy that you're just like sampling yourself.
Yeah.
So I know people can buy the album physically right now. When is like the worldwide street date?
Friday, April 4th.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you can pre-order the CD right now. You can also hear it worldwide on Friday, April 4th. This album is just so good, man. Do you have, so obviously we've got the stereo album release show on April 25th at the E20 Theater. That is going to be a blast. Do you have any other like shows or any like tours or anything special kind of lined up following the release of this project?
Yeah, so I've got the album release show that it's got you, Byron G, Crate Killer from Portland, and Manji Black from Massachusetts. Got that one. Be doing a radio appearance, kind of rapping a bunch of the new stuff on Local Motives. It's on WMPG FM out of Portland. And then, be doing a couple shows in the summer here. Haven't announced those yet, but one of them will be a big celebration for 808 Day.
Nice.
But yeah.
And that's kind of cool. I didn't even put it together that your album comes out on 404 Day.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. It's like 404 Day and then just 44 for the time signature.
Right? He said, when you hear a Melee track, it's unmistakably Melee. Has his own sound. It doesn't sound like anyone else.
Thank you.
That really is the truth. That's why I feel like it's like future treading, but also like you hear the remnants of the history. You know what I mean? you hear exactly what you're supposed to for somebody that like studies the culture, but it doesn't feel like you're treading, or it doesn't feel like you're retreading old shit. It feels like you're trying to carry a flag from a different time and push that forward so people can see how we got this far. So I always ask this to all the guests on the show. Do you have a long-term plan as to where you see yourself taking your craft right now? Or do you kind of operate in a more like now matter of time space?
It's kind of basically just steady progression's just been the goal throughout it, just kind of working up little by little through the years. And one of my big things is always trying to be able to use what I can have to help create a platform for other people, because I always come across so many talented musicians, so many people that are just really good at what they do and might not necessarily have a place to really hone their craft or show what they're working. So that's one thing I always try to do, just like foster environments for other artists to do what they do. So I think that's something I won't be stopping anytime soon. So
yeah, you do a remarkable job curating a space for people, and I want to get into that. We got a comment from Producers United. Shout out to Sean, who's going to be on the show actually next week. And he said, Graphic seems like a cool guy. Do you try to keep a relaxed outlook on life? So how do you feel about that?
I definitely say that I would. Definitely studied and got into Buddhism like a lot over the last 5 years. So I feel like essentially just not taking anything too seriously just helps keep you grounded. That's kind of the way I look at things, because like any morning I can wake up and I'm living, like I'm having a great day. So
dude, that's fair. I dig that. Respect it for sure. So as you were talking about curating a space for people that you've met along your travels, one thing that I think correlates into the Stereo album and you as an artist is your monthly producer showcase at the E20 Theater in Portland, Maine, Stereo Dreams. Can you tell us a little bit about when you started Stereo Dreams and how that kind of came to be?
Oh yeah, so I started Stereo Dreams. It was October 2023, but or 2022. But I knew a whole lot of music producers, and there wasn't really much of an outlet for producers to play, because you've got open mics that have a lot of like singer-songwriters. You've got open mics where like rappers can go and ciphers, but there was never really anything for people doing instrumental music that was like hip hop or electronic to just be like, hey, this is what I'm working on, or like I'm going to step up and like play this live. So I wanted to make a space for that, because at the time I just knew all these people just like pretty much sitting at home making dope music all day and no one's hearing it. So I'm like, we got to let some people hear this. So that's kind of where that idea came from, just creating a space for music producers to show off their craft.
Man, and that's kind of cultivated a culture of its own. I've had the pleasure of going up a few times and even being able to rock. And now it seems like it's become so much bigger than just producers too. You get sometimes vocal artists, you get other types of instrument players, all sorts of stuff. Was that like a scary transition for you to start broadening the scope of more than producers, or were you always excited to have something so eclectic?
Yeah, I think kind of that was part of it. Just adding more, just ways to have more people be able to show what they're working on. So it was definitely more exciting than something I was like kind of concerned about, because just as more people wanted to be a part of it, it's like, well, yeah, it's like you're making dope music. Like I want people to see this. So yeah, it's been nice to expand more. Because the March one that we had earlier this month, it was synthesizer and drum bass band. We had a synthesizer, guitar, and DJ bass group, and then a guy that does pretty much like drum machine beats and loops and plays guitar. So
Damn, that's
it's got like
wild.
a all live band night.
That's pretty cool. That's rare.
Yeah.
That's rare in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah.
When you're like programming because I know you do this one show a month, so it's probably a little easier to curate and program that way. When you're programming the different like producers or artists to be on the show, is there any like rhyme or reason as to like these guys fit a sonic aesthetic well, or these guys, fit a certain genre well, or is there really just kind of like when opportunity rises kind of thing? Like, how does your curation process move?
I usually always try and just build it around people that have either similar or complementary styles. So that's one thing I like to do, because a lot of times they'll have people that know their music but don't necessarily know other people in the area doing something similar. So everyone's friends come, it's like, oh, this guy does the same type of music too. It's like, so then everybody just gets to meet new people into the same type of music. And another cool thing that's come about from that is producers meeting producers they didn't know that make the same type of music. Because I know at least one collective is formed from a bunch of guys that I booked together, and they're like, oh, whoa, like you make something really similar to me. We should all be working together. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. It's funny. I think I was at this show. Byron said, I'll never forget the guy with the PO33 and a 6-foot stand-up bass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that was wild.
Snap the asparagus.
Love that, dude. Okay, we're still here. Got so many things happening. My computer is just going a little slow, so I wanted to... Sean from Producers United said, sounds dope. He also does a showcase that he's going to be bringing out in Lowell on April 11th as well. It's called Express Yourself, and it's going to have producer J Plus and a bunch of other people on it. So that's a really cool thing that he's been curating. I'm excited for him to talk about that. But that's the kind of thing, is like you guys doing things like that are like those beacons. It's like a rap night kind of thing where it's like artists that are hitting the circuit and really trying to get their work out there need those kind of consistent residency kind of things. And I can't tell you how important what you do with Stereo Dreams is. I'm sure people tell you all the time, but it's like just creating that space for people and giving them a jumping off platform is just so huge.
Oh yeah.
So you've obviously been around for a long time, and you've seen different hip hop scenes, different music consumption, different technology, all of these things. In the space that we're in right now, what would you say are like 2 or 3 of the most detrimental things to like music culture, and maybe in contrast to that, 2 or 3 of the most beneficial things that we have access to now that maybe we didn't before?
Say one of the most detrimental things I see currently is like, this has happened in every era, but chasing trends in a whole new way. Because I feel like with social media, it's popularized in a different way, where it's like, if you're not chasing this trend, your music's not going to make it.
Yeah.
And people fall into that pitfall so many times, where it's like, if you just stick to your original sound, like, you got it. But it's when people start trying to chase these other sounds, they think that they have to, because like someone says, like, if you don't do it, like you're not gonna get to this thing. But I think that's one of the biggest things, like the pressure to fall in line with whatever's the current trend.
Yeah.
With a lot of people. But I think also one of the flip sides with that is how many people can connect that they might not have had the opportunity to connect with before because of social media. Because it's like I've met a couple people that I've worked with just through like things shutting down online. And yeah, I think it's got like the positive and negative of the way our current social networks work. It's kind of, I guess, kind of depends on how you choose to use it, I guess, overall.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that, dude. I'm somebody who often admits that I was not an early adopter to social media and the internet I was wholly convinced that I was going to be able to tour with a backpack and a laptop for the rest of my life and just like be a road dog and go from place to place. And I just like, I wanted nothing to do with Instagram, and I wasn't going to do music videos and all this kind of shit. And then the pandemic happened, and all the tours that I had lined up started getting canceled and less dates. And it really was like, it just was like such a whirlwind of like, holy crap, dude, like you've just been living on the edge of your seat this whole time, and you had no greater plan as to how to reach people and how to reach your audience and stay in touch with them other than being in their town every couple of months or whatever. And so that was like a pivotal moment for me to start adapting to what was happening and trying to improve how I use social media, trying to do more visuals, trying to create more brand awareness around what it was that I was doing in between these shows and albums. But for you, it seems like you've always been very DIY and very comfortable just doing your own thing, whether it comes to a visual or audio or whatever. Did you always have that level of confidence to just like jump into whatever was happening new tech-wise or trend-wise and just put your own spin on it? Or did you kind of evolve into that later on?
I feel like I've always kind of had that spirit, again, just out of necessity. It was like, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to learn how to do as much as I can with something and then just like work from there. So I feel like that's one thing that helps me out a lot. Like I'm just willing to try whatever something new is and then start working my way through it. Because that's, like I was saying earlier, that's how I got into audio engineering and recording. Like we're just like, go sit down, try and record something, see how it sounds, see what we can do with it, and then start learning from there. So I think taking that approach to things has helped me out a lot.
Right. Just kind of like gives you that, oh, here we go. Producers United. Thanks for the shout out. It's so rewarding to bring people together and see people hit it off or create something cool after. Exactly. That's the thing, is like, it's just that whole thing of creating a space where people wouldn't normally be and getting all the right minds in the right place. You know, it's like so many of us have these creative intuitions or these lofty goals for our art, and we spend most of our week surrounded by people that aren't willing to take those kind of risks on themselves or believe in themselves, or people that have acclimated their lives to something more simple to attain, or whatever the case is. You know, people have different things that make them slow down or settle down, and that can be a drain on you creatively. And so, you know, going back to like people like you guys that create these spaces, those things are so important. It's like Rap Night, you know, I always give the highest praise to Rap Night Manchester. It's it's New Hampshire's longest running hip hop residency. And obviously doing something like that every single week for 11 plus years comes with a lot of challenges, and you're going to have good nights and bad nights, and nights that are super memorable and nights that you feel like you bombed and have no idea what you did wrong. And all in all, it's having a place like that where you and your peers can build and trial and converse and like and test the waters on things. It's like those spaces are so important, and for hip hop they're so few and far between. I've been making a lot of parallels to stand-up comedy when I talk to people lately, because comedians have to go out and like work out a couple nights a week usually. You know, if you go in a bigger city, you can do it more often. But you always hear about like comedians in New York City will go out and do multiple sets in a night just to work out material. And, you know, it's like there's not a thing like that for hip hop. So I just commend you for creating a space where people can sort of work out whatever ideas they're trying to fucking finish and elaborate upon.
Oh yeah, definitely appreciate those spaces. So thinking back, Mind Spray might have been the first time I came across you and your music. But that was one of my first spaces where I was doing my recorded tracks, because I'd pretty much been a freestyle MC. But when I moved back to Boston and started going to Mind Spray, it's like that's where I really honed getting my recorded work like perform live. So
I loved Mind Spray. That was so much fun. Mind Spray was such a great time too, because things were competitive in the best way. You were just always surrounded by such sharp top tier talent, and you wanted to compete against them. And like, if you lost honorably, but if you won, it really showed how much you had your chops at that time. Like, I just thought that was such a cool way for people to challenge themselves more than anything. I miss Mind Spray a lot. Shout out to all those guys. Man, well, speaking of Mind Spray, that kind of leads me to a question. What do you feel like is missing from either the Portland hip hop community or the New England hip hop community?
Let's see. I feel like it kind of varies, because there's a good amount of unity, but there's still a good amount of disjointedness. I feel like that's one of the biggest things, like, that like can drag down any scene. Because even while I was back in Richmond, that was one of like the biggest hurdles. And the people that made it through that are the ones still doing music. So, but yeah, getting more people that are working on the same things, all on the same page.
Do you feel like and obviously there's not like an easy way to make that happen, but do you feel like there's something that people are missing that would make things move a lot smoother?
I think it's just getting out the mindset that like there's scarcity to it. Like, there's so much to go around for everybody to be involved in, but I think people get scared. It's like, if somebody does this, I'm not going to get this chance. Like it's a piece of a pie. But there's so much to go around, and I think that's the one thing people are missing. So it kind of holds them back from wanting to go like all in, like with collaborating with others, or like even just like working outside of like what they're used to.
Dude, I like that. That's so true. Fee added here, he said, Boston had a dope scene back in the day. Middle East Club, WERS Radio. Man, you aren't kidding, dude. I still, on this very computer that I am doing this podcast from, it's actually probably an external hard drive now, but I still have, WERS used to do like podcast that you could download of the radio broadcasts. And so bands would, like punk and hardcore bands, would go in the studio and play live sets, and you could download them and put them on an iPod. That's what it was for. It was the craziest thing. Oh, dude. And Byron just said, he said, Fee, I used to wait in my bedroom until 9 when WERS started, and I'd record each show to a cassette. Dude, same. I had a friggin', I had like a 2000 or 2001 Pontiac Grand Prix, and I'd fucking get in that bitch, fucking right at 9 o'clock and just go drive and like roll something up and listen to 88.9 and whatever was playing that night. Like, that was the jam. And shout out to Mode Mercury, who's in the building, who shouted out and said, hey, appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, man, WERS, what a throwback, dude. We were talking, and that, and like FNX was another like really dope one too. Trying to think of what else was like going down at the time, man. Man, crazy times. What is like one piece of advice that you would give to people that you feel like benefits anybody, but is also like indicative of you as a person?
I feel like stay true to what brings you into things, essentially, like following, especially with your art and just in general, like following your heart for things. So I feel like when you're focused on what you're doing, like you're not going to lead yourself astray, but it's like the distractions that pull us away from like what we're really after. So
I love that, dude. That's really cool. Well, I want to thank you so much for like making time to chop it up with me and talk about everything.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Stereo is the new album. It's a double disc album. It's available at graphicmelee.com, and it's going to be available everywhere this Friday, April 4th. Oh, the cassette looks sharp, dude. I gotta shout out to my boy Jeff, dude. Long time no see. You know, we were talking about having a visual identity, and when I like first got into the hip hop thing, Jeff was definitely one of those people that helped me understand what I could do to expand my visual identity, and we did some really cool projects. So shout out to him, man. And shout out to Mark, who's up in here too. Mark is a rising producer and live audio engineer. Mark's got some fire beats. Shout out to you. Shout out to the homie Ryan. Ryan is a lifer through Vatican Life and Hellhound and is here every week, always supporting. And Fee just dropped a little bomb here that I guess we can talk about. So the other day, a couple of us were in the lab, and Graphic was remote lab, and we're going to be doing a project for the one and only Edo G, who is putting together this really cool New England-based project of getting all the best New England MCs. And so Graphic, myself, Fee the Evolutionist, and Des the Baker all have the honor of spitting some bars on this song that's going to be coming out. So that's going to be really cool. That's going to be the first time that we've collaborated.
Oh, yeah.
We're long overdue, nevertheless.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you guys, please check out Stereo. It's going to be available everywhere on Friday, April 4th. But I implore you, please go to graphicmelee.com after this episode's done. You can pre-order the CD. You'll get 2 discs. You'll get the liner notes. You'll get the digital copy. You'll get the lyrics. And you'll get the pleasure of knowing that your dollars went directly to the artist who paid for all of the manufacturing and everything out of pocket. Cut out the middleman. Cut out the streaming. You know, just go directly to the source. There's t-shirts on his site. There's all sorts of dope stuff. So support this man. Go see Stereo Dreams this Wednesday with Hellhound's own Byron G as well. And April 25th, Cody Pope and Byron G will be at the Ephodian Theater in honor of celebrating Graphic Melee's Stereo album release officially. Woo, let's go. I can't wait, man. I always love going to Portland. I always love rocking with you. So yeah, I'm stoked, man. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good show.
Yeah, dude, it really is. So I don't know, you got a couple minutes to hang out?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I mentioned earlier in the episode, for anybody that wasn't here, that we have the honor of having a world premiere video drop tonight from our community's own Fee the Evolutionist. Fee dropped a song recently called Props. Props has Brady Watt, Terminology, and DJ Myth all on the track. And so Fee did a video of his verse on that joint and has given us the pleasure to world premiere that. And so let me just cue this up real quick, and we're all going to see this for the first time. And by all of us, I mean you guys. All right. Chat, let me know if you guys see my screen. I think you do. I'm going to do my... Shout out to Rook. Rook, I think this is the first time I've seen you in the chat. Much love, Rook.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being here too, man. Speaking of Rap Night, Rook, one of the diehards at Rap Night every single week. True loyalist. Catch him in the cipher. But with all that said, this is the world premiere of Fee the Evolutionist, and I know we're streaming, so I'm sorry if it's a little bit laggy, but hopefully it's gonna be crisp and smooth, and hopefully you guys dig this. Ready? Let's let me full screen this, and
Let the rhythm hit him with a little bit of lyricism. Make a moves motivated, cause music is my religion. Listen. It was written for the ever true and live it committed, cause we be kicking on fiction with precision. Listen. Verbally vomit, lyrical baptisms. We monsters, turning heads like exorcisms. Transmitting, leaving with the wisdom. Listen, all we do is spark matters. The hell with you whack MCs, good riddance, no kidding. Flipping for the kids, got a vision. Defy laws of physics when we spit. What is? Break them down to the last compound organisms. I hate egotism and classism. Listen when we rhyme and shine poetic prisms. Feeling so free like a jazz musician. Getting props when I rock like a funky technician.
Yeah.
so shout out to Fee for the world premiere.
It was dope.
Appreciate him letting me plug that, because I've just been getting into the video production thing myself, and me and him went out to breakfast the other day, and he was like, yo, you want to help me do a visual? And I was like, I only got my phone. I was like, but we went and made it work. And
Nice.
you know, it kind of goes back to what I was saying before about how like I just wasn't ready to adapt to the digital age until it was too late. And so now I just am like playing catch up, and I'm just diving in on all the things I can do creatively, you know. And I've really loved obviously like doing the podcast and like doing marketing for like Harley Davidsons and stuff like that has really like helped me grow my skills a lot. But it's just been cool to like show different sides of everything that we got going on.
Oh, yeah.
But chat, let us know what you guys thought about that new Fee the Evolutionist. That's going to be live on YouTube tonight. You guys should be able to go and check that out shortly after probably 9:30 or so. Make sure you subscribe to Fee the Evolutionist as well. Watch that on your computer so that it doesn't lag. Shout out, Rook said it was fire. Shout out to Rook. Yeah. Keith said it was hot. Ryan was loving it. Rook, I'm glad you got out early too, man. I'm glad you can make it out for this. Byron's loving it. This is dope, man. Appreciate all that. Fee did a killer job. That song, if you want to hear the whole song, is streaming on all platforms. So just look up Fee the Evolutionist Props featuring Brady Watt, Terminology, and DJ Myth. Guys, this has been an awesome episode tonight. Thank you so much to my guest, Graphic Melee. Appreciate you so much for being here. Thank you to all of you guys that have been in the chat tonight, keeping the questions going, keeping the chat alive, sharing it, dropping likes, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. One last time, make sure you guys follow Graphic Melee on Instagram. His personal is at Graphic Melee, and his showcase is at stereodreams.wave, W-A-V, on Instagram. And of course, the home base, graphicmelee.com, for everything he has going on. Graphic, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm so excited to keep listening to Stereo. The album is phenomenal. I can't wait for everybody to hear it. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you making time for this tonight, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you mad soon.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Cheers, man. All right, guys, make sure you guys run that up. Make sure you guys check out Stereo. Make sure you check out Props from Fee the Evolutionist. Fee, you'll definitely see Melee soon somehow. We're going to figure out a way. Appreciate all of you guys tuning in tonight. This has been an awesome episode. Next week, we got Sean from ProU, who's going to be in the building talking about Express Yourself Showcase and so much more. As always, please don't be afraid to comment, like, subscribe to the channel. All this stuff helps us out. We're on week 20 of the podcast this week. Thank you guys for rocking with me for 20 straight weeks. I might have taken a week off or so, but 20 weeks of doing this show. It's so cool that you guys have rode with me. This thing has started to grow a lot. The biggest thing I can ask from you guys from here on out is when the show is done, Tell somebody you think would like it. Share it. Whatever the case is, let's just get the word out there. You guys are the best. I appreciate you guys so much. Let's wrap this thing up because we are going to have some fun, and appreciate everybody that's been keeping this thing going tonight. 20 weeks straight up. Tonight was episode 20. We started this thing. We had the show wasn't even called Cody Central when we started it, so that's technically 22 weeks. But we've been figuring this thing out week by week, and it's really like become something cool. I've had the honor of talking to musicians, life coaches, skateboarders, photographers, chefs, people that have overcome personal journeys, all these incredible people. And I've got to just sit here and chop it up with them and give them a platform to share their story. But it's all possible because you guys keep coming back and supporting the show. People like Danny Henn, my first sponsor, donating money to just keep this thing going every month, knowing how much it costs to keep this thing alive between the streaming platform and getting the equipment right and all that kind of stuff. So every little thing that you guys do, I just appreciate more than I can say. And let's end it on a great note. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Preach.
This program was written, produced, and created for live stream broadcast by Cody Pope. To learn more about Cody Pope and Storytellers Creative Services, please visit www.hellhoundpublishing.com/services.
Cody here. Thank you so much for being part of another episode of Cody Central with me. If you'd like to support the program and help me sustain and grow the show, please consider checking out the QR codes below, which include my latest album release, our Patreon channel, as well as general donation links to help us offset some of our programming costs, such as our streaming platform and studio rent. I've also launched a fundraising initiative directly through the Hellhound Publishing website. For any of the increments shown, you can promote your event, service, album, product, merchandise, podcast, business, or whatever it is you have, in addition to a number of other benefits. Check out the website for more details and an easy way to contribute to the cause.
Okay.